Before I take a 2-week holiday break, I wanted to bring back one of my favorites from last Christmas season, how she serves her community in the world. Some of the stories are specific to Christmas, and some made me so eager for the time we can interact more fully with the elderly members of our community again. The women featured in this episode were some of the most remarkable women I've ever interviewed for my podcast, and I hope they inspire you as much as they inspire me. Last winter, I met a woman, I'll call her Emma, at a kid's birthday party. Our mutual friend asked her when her surgery was, and she nonchalantly gave the date, which was in about a month. I asked what she was having done and discovered that this was no ordinary surgery. Here's Emma.
We had a friend that we knew had had some liver issues for years and years, but kind of through the grapevine heard that he was actually going to need a new liver.
This friend's name is Steve, and Emma's family had known him casually for about 5 years. They used to go to the same church, and they saw each other once a year on Halloween when they took their kids trick-or-treating.
And we started looking it up online on our own, and both of us were like, oh, we would do that. And we both prayed about it, and we both felt God was saying, yes, this is what you should be doing.
So they moved forward with what would turn into an 8 to 9 month process.
Well, so the very first thing they do is blood work, and then when that comes back, they come in and do a 2-day evaluation, and they do tons of tests, more blood work, lots of vials of blood. You kind of watch them take it out going, wow, this is a lot. Do I have any left? And they do a CAT scan and an MRI and some x-rays, and they do contrasting dye, and they actually recreate your entire liver on the computer with all the chambers, all the arteries, everything that's in it in 3D, so they can move it around and look at it. And they determine exactly where they're going to cut and how much they're going to take for what he needs. And so they took 62.8% of mine, very specific.
Once they had determined that Emma was a good match for Steve, the waiting game began. Steve's levels had to be just right so his body would be able to receive her liver. When the time came, Emma was in the hospital for a full week. During that time, an army of friends took care of her and her family, bringing meals and a huge gift basket, and driving through a blizzard to visit her in the hospital with cozy gifts of pillows and blankets.
And then my husband took 8 weeks off work to stay home and help me, and that was really nice, and help with the kids. And it was a whole family thing for sure. Yeah, couldn't have done it without them. So, but it was neat. It's just a reminder to them of like what giving is, and not just what's easy and convenient, but what God calls us to do is sometimes hard, and sometimes can make life a little inconvenient for us too.
A little inconvenient. This is what struck me most when I first learned about the transplant, and then when I talked to Emma after the fact. Almost like she had just helped Steve load his groceries into his car. I could tell serving others is just a way of life for Emma. No big deal. I asked her how Steve is doing now.
He's doing great. We saw him at Halloween, of course. We've seen him a few more times since, and actually now we are going to the same church again, so we see him a little more often, and I text him on the 4th of every month and wish him a happy anniversary. And
That's cute.
And so, we have definitely a little bit more bond, of course, but yeah. There's a lot of people that die not getting a liver. Like 1,500 people die a year because they don't receive a liver, and kidneys really high too. God gave us stuff that we can give, and though it can be like a challenge and, again, inconvenient in some aspects, it's amazing what our bodies can do and what they were made for. And sometimes that can be just, giving part of us. So.
Yeah. This is the How She Moms podcast, where we talk about how different moms solve the same problems. I'm Whitney Archibald, a mother of 5 children myself. I collect ideas so you can pick and choose what works for you and your family. I have so many great stories to share with you in this episode. From mothers who, like my friend Emma from the intro, have found beautiful ways to reach out to serve in their communities and beyond. This is the second episode about service. The first, episode 21, focused on serving family and friends. I truly believe that being a mom is specialized training in how to identify and serve the needs of others, a skill set we can then take into our communities and the world when the time is right. In this episode, I'm going to mostly get out of the way and let some incredible moms tell their own stories, from helping elderly members of the community to providing a magical Christmas experience for disabled children, to building community gardens in Guatemala, and creating Christmas videos that result in bringing water to villages across the world. The first mom we'll hear from today is Stacy Cowan. She was looking for a way to teach her kids the importance of helping others in their own community. So she went to justserve.org, a website that allows you to enter your location and find service opportunities nearby. This is such a great resource. For example, my quick search this week brought up opportunities to assemble infant and delivery kits for villages in Peru and Africa, volunteering for a respite program for parents of children with special needs, helping out at a local food pantry, and performing for the elderly, among other things. Here's Stacy.
We were looking for an opportunity that we could involve our kids in, that they could serve somebody and understand that other people have needs, because we kind of wanted to help them branch out. And so we found Neighbor Network as an opportunity to help people in our very own community. And it's helping aging people and people who might have disabilities. And it helps them to stay independent in their homes longer. And they have different categories of ways you can help. You can drive people around. You can work as a handyman. You can do housekeeping. So we started, and it was spring, it was April, and they called us and asked us to go do yard work. And ironically, the sweet little woman lives like half a mile from us. So we went over, she needed some mulch spread, which was perfect for our kids. I think especially because it was an easy job. It was like 4 or 5 bags of mulch. We laid them out and they got to rake and pull things and, they loved helping her, and she had ice cream for them at the end. So they loved having a treat. And we go over there every fall and do leaves. We go help with her sprinklers. She always has some sort of little job. I'd say like every other month that she calls and we take kids over. And they love seeing her. She has this little Scotty dog named Riley. And so they play with the dog and they're just so cute. They have loved that relationship they've formed with her. Lots of times when Glenn does handyman work at her house, I go along and sit and visit with her and use that as an opportunity just to chat. That's one of the things Neighbor Network talks about. A lot of the people just need someone to talk to. And sometimes Anita, Mrs. Rex, will call me. Hi, I just needed to talk to someone today. Or she'll call and ask me to bring something over or to do something for her. And then, can you come in and chat for a little bit? My kids hate it. Why do you have to talk so long? But they also love going to her house because she always has treats for them.
They've really become like family. Sometimes when they go over, Mrs. Rex plays piano duets with Stacy's oldest daughter, and she brings them treats for holidays. One Christmas, she had a great surprise for them.
She made these amazingly gorgeous Christmas stockings for us. She hand embroidered and sequined for all of us. And that was when I was pregnant with Sam, and so she even made one for Samuel. It just is the sweetest.
They serve other people too, stacking wood, fixing things, giving rides, etc.
That is giving us an opportunity to talk to our kids about service and helping and maybe doing things that we don't like to do, even at home. We go and do them for someone who can't do them for themselves. So it's been really good for our kids to understand that and to go and help. The other thing that we really wanted our kids to understand is that they have a lot. We live in a very affluent community, but that doesn't mean that there aren't people who have needs. And so it's been really good for us to take our kids maybe to somebody who's a little lower income or doesn't live in a clean house or whatever, and help our kids understand that they need help with things.
Maybe your community doesn't have a resource like the Neighbor Network, which has actually recently changed its name to Aging Resources of Douglas County. But there are still lots of opportunities to serve and help your kids connect with the elderly members of your communities. I grew up singing regularly with my family at retirement homes, and have continued that tradition with my own kids. If that's not your jam, Lisa Holzer has an idea for you. When her kids were younger, they regularly took games to a retirement home and played and visited with residents. On Mother's Day, Josette and her daughters brought bouquets of daisies to mothers in a nearby convalescent home. And when Angela was a teenager, her friend organized regular visits to a rest home to record residents' stories, write letters for them, etc. Danielle Banner holds piano recitals at retirement homes, so the residents can enjoy the music and the kids have a great audience. And Shanae Briggs attended an art class at an assisted living place with her kids. If I could give you any gift for Christmas, I'd give you the gift of knowing what's for dinner. Of all the persistent chores of taking care of a family, feeding them is perhaps the most relentless. And I've had way too many days of staring in the fridge at 6 p.m. like a zombie, wondering what the heck I'm going to make. That's why I created my meal planning workshop. The goal of this workshop is to help you figure out your top priorities for feeding your family, learn about a variety of tactics that are working for other families, and then figure out a realistic system that fits your personality and your family situation. Because we all have different learning styles, there are 2 ways to access this course. A video workshop so you can take the course at your own pace on your own schedule. And I'm excited to announce I'm doing 2 live Zoom workshops in the first full week of January. One on Thursday the 7th at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and one on Saturday the 9th at 9 a.m. Each of those will last about 2 hours. I really hope you can join me. I'd love to meet more of you as face-to-face as we can get right now. You can sign up for either the recorded version or the Zoom version of the meal planning workshop on my website, howshemoms.com, for just $25. The next service-oriented mom I want to highlight today is my neighbor, Donna Koto. Every time I run into her, I find out about another amazing cause she's involved with. She's made serving others her mission in life. This was a conscious decision she made when she was 17, after her friend Kumi got into a tragic accident.
It was February 13th, 1987, and she was 18. And it was a drunk driver that hit her head on. She broke both arms, both legs. The physical stuff healed, but it was a traumatic brain injury that put her in a nursing home for the last 32 years. She hasn't said a word to me in all those years, but my biggest life teacher. So whenever I would get down on myself, younger years, when we're selfish and we don't think of others or put others first, like if something wasn't going my way, I would think of her laying in a bed and not have the opportunity to do whatever was frustrating me at the moment. So that's where it sparked. It also opened up my world, I think, to special needs, not just kids, but just special needs in general, and that they don't have that compassion or kindness from the world as a whole. So I don't know. So that's where my mission came from. Understanding what her family had to go through, and nobody else understood their story, I guess. And so it opened my eyes that we all have stories. And nobody, I'm going to get emotional.
That's okay.
Nobody really knows those stories. And you look at somebody from the outside and they look fine. But what I learned, and kind of my motto, is that everybody deserves compassion and kindness.
Years later, in 2007, on Kumi's birthday, Donna stumbled upon a pamphlet for a hike up Pikes Peak.
I stopped dead in my tracks, and it was for traumatic brain injury, a fundraiser. And I originally went to volunteer for it and ultimately ended up hiking it. 2007 was my first year, not thinking all these years later I would still be hiking for it. But what I have learned on that mountain, and the people that I've met on their mountain, and the stories on that mountain, pushes me to do more.
Since 2007, Donna has only missed 2 years of hiking Pikes Peak, when she was pregnant and when she had a small baby. That's 85,800 vertical feet. I did the math. This year, Team Kumi has 34 team members and raised $11,671. Then 3 years ago, Donna stumbled upon another great opportunity. She took her son to see Santa and was taking pictures. Santa asked if she'd be willing to take some pictures of him with kids with special needs. This was all Donna needed to kick into gear. She found a beautiful outdoor location and enlisted volunteers to decorate. She reached out to some other photographers, a local cafe to provide cookies, hot chocolate, and coffee, and even to Wellspring Community, a local nonprofit for special needs adults. Members of the Wellspring Community sanded and painted frames for all the families to take home with them. Now she just needed participants.
We were very nervous about how we were going to reach out to these families. They didn't know us. And it takes a lot to get a child. And we had some severe special needs kids participate. It takes a lot for them to come out. And the trust alone, and coming to a place where they weren't familiar with it or familiar with us. So there is a small social media group with special needs moms on it. And one of my friends knows that it's near and dear to my heart, and she invited me. And it was mostly so I can have a better understanding and nothing more. I didn't participate on this site. I just read, and I was on the site for about 2 years before this even came about. So I just introduced myself and the other photographers and Santa and said, we'd like to give this gift to you. And it was incredible how well received this was and how quickly people signed up for it. There is such a great need for this. And we even had people giving up their spots for the more severe needs kids because they knew this was something really special and that they could probably do. We signed up 5 families per half hour. And because we still wanted it to be, not a lot of distraction. Yeah, the forest and the nature, and it be calming. It's not just for the kids, but also for the parents who get a little nervous about events like that. So we put Santa in the sleigh kind of off to the side, and then we had a picnic table filled with cookies and hot chocolate, and we did family photos, and it just worked beautifully.
The event was such a success that the town took notice, and a representative reached out to Donna and offered a beautiful indoor venue free of charge where they've been able to hold the event for the last 2 years and for the foreseeable future. And the event was meaningful to Donna in yet another way, because it's where she met Truett.
Truett just passed away over the summer, 12 days shy of his 6th birthday. He was born normal pregnancy and normal baby. First few weeks of life were fine. He was a happy little baby. At 9 weeks old, from my understanding, his sister came home with a cold, and he got that virus, which ultimately paralyzed him and stopped him from breathing. So he had GI tube and oxygen and paralyzed, and that's how he lived the rest of his life. So Truett came into my life when we were doing pictures with special needs kids, and he just, already took a piece of my heart. And the year passed, and it was January, and I couldn't stop thinking of Truett. He made such an impression on me and his family, and the way his mom and dad just there's really no words to explain his parents. Anyway, so I called his mom, and I said, I can't shake your little boy. Can I be involved in his life? And can I come read to him or do music with him or something? And it was set up that I would read to him once a week, and I would go on Tuesdays. And through my stories, after reading, I would share with my son. And so he got to know him through my stories. Eventually, he would start coming to read to Truett, and they created an incredible bond. And so it meant so much that we were able to give him a little bit of happy.
The thing that impresses me the most about Donna, and what I've learned from her, is the importance of seizing the opportunities that present themselves to us. She could have passed up any of these opportunities, saying, "Why me?" In fact, this is exactly what she was thinking the night before the first Santa event.
I was thinking, who am I? What skills do I have to handle these families and the special needs of these kids? And yeah, I didn't sleep. I was thinking there was no way we were going to pull this off. But too much time and heart was put into it.
Of course, Donna went ahead with the event, and the more she has served, the more she's realized that the right question is, why not me? Why can't I raise $11,000 for traumatic brain injuries? Why can't I start a community-wide Christmas event for special needs kids? Why can't I be part of Truett's life? Donna also has great advice for choosing how to serve.
There's so many things out there that need help or support. And it's hard. I feel sometimes pulled in different directions because I do want to be involved or help everybody. But I think you have to know what makes your heart beat, and that's where you can make a difference. There are so many other people that will go after so many different other causes. And I'm not looking for everybody to go on to my cause.
Yeah.
But just understand what your cause is. What makes your heart happy? And then find a way to impact people with that. Because then it blows up.
Donna has also followed this principle when teaching her son Paxton to serve. Through the years, they've done several service projects together, including one where he collected donations for the local pet shelter since he loves animals. Another great opportunity they've discovered is through coloradogives.org. This site has a special kids section that includes a fun quiz to find out what kind of giver you are and figure out what cause you'd like to donate to. Even if you don't live in Colorado, it's fun to have your kids take the quiz to find out what interests them. I'll link to the quiz in my show notes and at howshemoms.com. It's also a great idea for a Christmas gift. You can buy an e-card from the site, and then your kids can choose how they want to donate it. Another similar opportunity is coming to Colorado and 9 other cities this Christmas, the Light the World Giving Machines. They're vending machines that allow you to choose from an assortment of items to give to people in need and donate on the spot. In addition to Denver, the other locations are Manila, Philippines, Las Vegas, Nevada, Laie, Oahu, Hawaii, Gilbert, Arizona, Salt Lake City, Utah, Orem, Utah, San Jose, California, New York, and London. My kids are getting so excited for our own visit to the giving machine. I posted a flyer on my wall with all of the items from the machine and asked each of my kids to pick what they want to donate to. Then I created a chart with jobs and how much money they can earn, and then I taped envelopes to the wall with each of their names on them where they can collect the money. I pay them with fake dollar bills that I bought on Amazon, and then once we get to the machine, I'll pay with my credit card. I found out about another really fun way to find and support causes you're passionate about from a fabulous podcast called Midlife Mixtape, for the years between being hip and breaking one. Isn't that the best tagline ever? The host, Nancy Davis Coe, has been part of a giving circle for 15 years. I'm going to let her explain what that is, using a clip from her podcast episode on the topic.
It's a group of women who get together every quarter to pool our funds and donate to various causes that one of our members has presented. We've paid to put young women in Uganda through college. We've funded community vegetable gardens in food deserts. We've helped furnish apartments for formerly homeless Oakland residents, and it has been a blast. Seriously, those 4 meetings are usually the highlight of my whole year because we start with food and drink and gossip, yes, gossip, and we end knowing that we've made a positive difference for someone.
You can learn more about giving circles by listening to episode 54 of the Midlife Mixtape podcast. Another great way to find a cause to support is to lead with your talents and your interests. This is how Jen Brewer figured out what direction to go when she wanted to find a long-term service project for her family. She and her husband decided to make service a priority for their family after Christmas one year.
I looked at this mountain of paper and remnants and toys that had been kind of cast off, and some even already broken. And I thought, I can't do this. I can't feed into the commercialism and just have my kids be stuff. You know, everything we do is, what stuff can I get? What more can I get? So Jerry and I just had this little talk, and I said, we can't do this. I can't do another holiday season where it's all about what they're getting. Like, they were opening presents, and it was, they would open one and start to play with it and be excited. And we say, no, put that aside. Here's the other one. Here's your next present. And I just thought, that's dumb. What is that teaching them? And so I just kind of thought, we need to get into service. And then we decided we want 2 overarching goals for our kids. We want to create global citizens and humanitarians.
So they started looking for opportunities to serve.
So I started calling every organization under the sun. I was pregnant with number 7. So it was, okay. Do you allow little kids? Oh, and can I come when I'm pregnant? And got no's and more no's.
Then, out of the blue, one of Jen's friends with whom she had served a church mission to Guatemala called.
And she just said, you will never guess where I just got back from. There's this group who goes down to Polo Cheek, which is not just Guatemala. It was the exact area that we had served together. And when I left that area after my mission, I thought, I will never see this place again in my life. It's so way out in the boondocks. It's like a 10-hour bus ride in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, I would never even be able to find this by myself. There's no way. So when she said that, and she said, yeah, and they take kids. And then they were thinking with their humanitarian, they're needing to really expand their nutrition program. And I said, I'm getting my master's in school and community gardens. And so she screamed and I screamed. And so I contacted them, and they allowed kids 8 and older. So we took our older kids that first year. And I was 7 months pregnant, hobbling around the mountains. And then we went the next year, and we just took everybody, all of our kids down to our 9-month-old. And we just realized, we're not the typical family. We totally get that. We're okay with chaos.
Jen's husband, Jerry, is a dermatologist, so he does skin surgeries while they're there. The kids usually help build or make repairs at schools, and they also did a program to build solar light systems for churches and community buildings. As for Jen,
I started really networking and really getting foundational programs going. So right now we're studying the effectiveness of family gardens on mental and physical stunting of malnutrition.
Jen visits Guatemala more frequently than the rest of her family to keep these gardens and the research going. She's making real, long-lasting change for this village. And it's made a long-lasting change for her kids as well. They have a whole new perspective on their comfortable lives.
Your whole mode of transportation once you get to the villages is in the back of cattle cars. So you're up and down these huge bumpy mountain roads, just standing in the back, holding on for dear life. Going over, just your bones are just getting jostled for 1 or 2 hours at a time. And we got back and we were driving to the YMCA in our minivan, and I hit this big bump to where all the kids bumped up on their seat and back down, and there was silence for a minute. And then from the back I heard Seth say, "I will never complain about a bumpy road again, ever, Mom."
The last mom I'm going to feature today is Whitney Slade. Her family's Christmases were forever changed, at least for the last 8 years, by a question she asked her husband in 2011. Should we start sending Christmas cards this year? Her husband Micah had a different idea. Why don't we make a Christmas video instead? They came up with a great idea for their video. They filmed a typical Christmas morning scene, lip-syncing to the song Blue Christmas, but all underwater, decorations, Christmas jammies, and all. I'll link to the video in my notes and put it up on the post for this episode at howshemoms.com. That first video turned out so well that they decided to use it for a good cause. They researched and found a perfect fit for their underwater theme, Charity Water, an organization that funds water projects to bring clean water to communities throughout the world. They just fell in love with the organization. That first year, they earned a modest $145 for Charity Water. Even that relatively small amount felt so good that the video Christmas card became a family tradition. Since that first year, they've made Christmas videos each year, always donating to Charity Water. They love coming up with crazy ideas for the videos, from an incredible anti-gravity Christmas scene to a full-blown food fight, and they have so much fun filming them. I dare you to watch just one. Their goal for the cards quickly changed from just having fun to centering around serving others. Here's Whitney. I apologize for the poor sound quality and a couple interruptions from my kids in this clip.
We just kept trying to find ways to help our kids focus on other people during Christmas and try to build that spirit inside them so that they would want to do this later and just help others and think of others instead of themselves.
In 2015, they decided to go a different direction and give a family a home for the holidays, just like the song says.
We were actually just inspired to do it. We've had this strong prompting to build a tiny house for someone in need. We didn't know who it was for when we started building it.
They started building the house in September, learning as they went. The kids helped the whole way through, from sanding wood to drilling screws to painting. Every spare minute they'd be out working on the house. In November, they recorded a video of the partially finished house and invited people to nominate families who needed a home for the holidays. They also asked for a $20 donation to Charity Water with each submission. They received over 150 submissions, and then they had family and friends help read through them and decide who they should pick.
Right when we got Lindsay's, I knew it was for her, and so she doesn't live by us at all. I mean, we live in Arizona and she lives in Florida, and so it wasn't like a convenient thing to just take it over to her.
On December 20th, the whole family piled into a truck, towing the completed house, and drove it all the way from Arizona to Florida to deliver it to Lindsay. A long trek, including a couple of flat tires.
But it was great. If you ask any of our kids, they'll tell you that that was their favorite Christmas ever. And it was just, I don't know, it was so much sacrifice and so many unknowns and things that, but just that part of when we got there and we were able to give the house to Lindsay, I mean, she was just couldn't believe it and we couldn't believe it, and it was just, it's hard to put into words what happened that day, you know?
In 2016, they were able to give away 2 cars in addition to raising money for Charity Water. But for 2017, they really wanted to focus on Charity Water and raise enough money to finish an entire project. And they reached their goal. They raised $10,670 and built a well for a community in India. Last Christmas, they raised another $11,260 for a well in Mozambique. And this year's card will be out any day now. We look forward to watching it every year. Before starting these videos, the Slades had always tried to teach their kids the importance of service, but now it's just a given that their holiday season will revolve around these videos and around blessing the lives of people all over the world. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season full of love and service for your friends, your family, your communities, and beyond. Thank you for listening to the How She Moms podcast. If you like it, tell a friend. The bigger the community, the more ideas. There are lots of ways you can add your ideas to the How She Moms community. We have a new Facebook group where we share ideas about upcoming topics and help each other solve problems we're facing in motherhood. You can also follow How She Moms on Instagram for quick tips and ideas. And you can go to howshemoms.com where you'll find transcripts of episodes and lots of other great resources. Special thanks to my mom, Susan Thingley, for recording my theme music. She played this song all the time when I was growing up, and to me, it's the soundtrack of motherhood.